I'd like to begin with the acknowledgement of the traditional owners. I'm here to welcome everyone present to the land of the Wellamedigal clan of the Eora people. The Wellamedigal country followed the north bank of the Parramatta River from Turramurra to Lane Cove River, in the east to Burramatta or Parramatta, at the head of the river to the west. The Wellamedigal people were of the Snapper people, and their totem was the fish. On behalf of the traditional owners of this land, we should remember the Wellamedigal, the original custodians of the land on which Macquarie University is located, and pay respect to all the Aboriginal elders of the past, present, and future. And I extend that respect to all Aboriginal guests here this evening. On behalf of the Faculty of Arts and Macquarie University Art Gallery, I would like to welcome you all to the opening of the exhibition, Chain Reaction. I'm Professor Janet Greeley, and I'm Executive Dean of the Faculty of Human Sciences at Macquarie, and it's my great pleasure to be the MC this evening. Our new exhibition, Chain Reaction, is a survey exhibition recounting the work of British-Australian artist Kate Downhill, and demonstrates the artist's production spanning the last 15 years. This exhibition is timed to coincide with the 60th anniversary of the British totem nuclear tests at Emu Field in South Australia. Numerous paintings in the show make reference to the artist's own memories of growing up in the atomic age as the child of a physicist involved in the development of the H-bomb and its subsequent tests in Australia. Kate and her husband John moved to Australia from the UK some nearly 5 years ago now. Some of the works you see here this evening represent Kate's memories of Australia, which began actually before she was born. You might think of them as pre-memories. They are like song lines through Kate's life, bittersweet reflections of personal history juxtaposed against social commentary of the times. Kate's pre-memories of Australia came from her father, a seismologist who worked for the Atomic Weapons Research Establishment. He came to Australia in 1952 as a young man of 23 to do secret business for the British government. His job was to measure the effects of atomic tests carried out in Australia and other parts of the world. These paintings tell the tale of the effects of those tests on the Earth and on Kate's life. Kate recounted to me a story of when her father was working in Australia, and he arranged to have a bouquet of flowers sent to her mother as a prelude to a proposal. But little did he know, I think, that they would be delivered by a couple of gentlemen from the Secret Service who wanted to check her political affiliations. So he really was involved in secret business. Kate shared her father's life for a fairly short period of time, because on return from the last atomic tests on Montebello Islands, he returned a changed man. He struggled psychologically and began to spend much of his time wandering. He was a man who loved to mountain climb. In fact, he climbed one of the Three Sisters when he was here in Australia, and he loved walking through the hills. Hence, he spent much of the latter years of his life walking, and one imagines thinking. Despite his long absences from Kate's life, she has wonderful, warm memories of his intellectual and emotional influences, and many of these paintings reflect those. I had the privilege of touring the exhibition with Kate early in the week and learning about some of the associations that these artworks mean to her. It was really fascinating to gain an insight of the associations behind the images and how the creative process allowed expression of thought and emotion, some conscious and deliberate, and other parts visceral and instinctive. As we discussed the paintings and the layers of association came through, Kate's and mine, as Kate, in her ever generous and gracious way, encouraged me to tell her what I thought they meant. And that was very kind of you, Kate. And I think, in fact, what Kate is doing this evening is actually asking you, inviting all of you to do the same. So I'm sure you will enjoy interpreting these paintings, and I'm sure Kate will love having conversations with you about them. Before I introduce the guest speaker to officially open the exhibition, I'd like to extend Kate's thanks to the Art Gallery staff, Rhonda, Leonard, Kate, Effie, and Ian, for their assistance and support in mounting the exhibition. So thank you all, to all the staff. It's now my great pleasure to introduce artist, curator, and writer Meredith Brice to officially open the exhibition. Meredith is an interdisciplinary visual artist whose practice crosses between making and curating. She's interested in projects that bridge and connect worlds through art. For the past 10 years, she's been exploring the creative potential of nanotechnologies via a speculative play in the gap between art and science. Sounds fascinating. A graduate from the University of Newcastle, she exhibits locally and internationally. She's also participated in a number of exhibitions here at Macquarie University Gallery, Sense of Touch and Transit. And she's participated in those exhibitions as both an artist and a curator. So please join with me in warmly welcoming Meredith Brice.
Well, thank you very much for that wonderful introduction, and it's just a pleasure to be here and to see on the walls these amazing works by Kate Downhill, and what an enjoyable thing it is to see the paint. But there's a story behind the paint that I'd like to share with you. So this survey exhibition, Chain Reaction, by British Australian visual artist Kate Downhill, holds special meaning for us. Spanning 15 years of artistic production, as we've heard, it is of timely significance, and I must say, what a journey it's been. A personal journey, story, and a broader narrative that unfolds and connects through imagery that describes growing up in the atomic age, the nuclear tests at Montebello and Maralinga 60 years ago, and an evolving interwoven journey described in paint. Born in Essex in southern England, the daughter of nuclear physicist Bernard Downhill, known as Bunny, and his wife Vera, Kate grew up in her early years in a house called Sunnymead. I love this, Sunnymead, in the English countryside, surrounded by apple orchards. Visualise that thought, it's beautiful. Later, the family returned to the north of England, and she spent her teenage years in the Lake District and attended the High School for Girls in Kendal. At that school, her teacher, David Hartnott, was instrumental in supporting her ambition to go to art school. Her school careers officer, though, had other advice and enrolled Kate on a business studies course at the local technical college because, as she was told, no one makes any money through art, you'll need another string to your bow. She initially studied graphic design at Newcastle College of Art and went to work in London as an illustrator specialising in small press poetry and arts publications. In 1980, she moved into the fine art arena. She had been accepted to study for a Bachelor of Arts in Fine Art at Exeter School of Art, where the prevailing ethos was of painterly and pure abstraction, an era not responsive to graphic or illustrative type of imagery, and in particular to female ways of seeing and making. This transition she found difficult at first, and she moved into abstraction really reluctantly, but did later totally, in Kate's own words, get it, graduating with high marks and becoming elected to the Manchester Academy of Fine Art. However, we all create our own art history, and our stories are driven using symbolism, metaphors, and the alchemy of paint, if we're painters. Paint can bring the external world to you, but also the internal. Painting for Kate Downhill is an act, an art of internal necessity. Listening to Kate speak about her studio practice, which I did enjoy when we spoke, she says, most of my works I make for myself, and a modest statement, but hers really is an art of internal necessity. The artist's chosen medium, as you can see, is paint, combining ideas about fabric and textile. Her technique involved allusions to textile in paint, applique embroidery, patchwork and quilts. She glues fabric, lovely ones up there I noticed, and paint stitched like marks. A painter the artist greatly admires is Mark Tobey, late American, and the way he describes painting is something akin to how Kate feels about how she makes her paintings. A painting should be a textile, a texture, says Mark Tobey. That's enough. Perhaps I was influenced by my mother, he says. She used to sew and sew. I can still see that needle going. Maybe that's what I'd rather do than anything with the brush-like stitching, over and over and over, laying it in, going over, bringing it up. That is what is difficult. And I think hearing those words, it's not just the actual physical act of sewing, bringing things up, painting, laying down the marks. It's a matter of dredging these internal processes up so that we can fully express the concept that we're trying to develop, and that's the hard part. Kate was taught the processes of knitting and sewing by her aunts, a memory close to your heart, I think, Kate. Underpinning the works is the conceptual notion of the quilt then, Wagga, Amish, utilitarian, their textural textile surfaces and quilt-like formats. She thinks of them as the quilt paintings, even though they are not titled as such, and it's interesting to note the titles actually. These ideas interest her, the painted surface texture as textile, making and remaking from necessity, quilts as a means to document an era, to reveal the contextual social fabric, in this instance the atomic testing age and beyond. These traditionally female methods, materials and craft skills, reference knowingly play with values and cultural expectations, and they could be seen as a comfort zone of homey domesticity, perhaps, and expectation, or in a contemporary art sense, as a feminist cliche. But we need to look deeper. Using fabrics as a base, the artist overlays images to chart the movements of a content of disquieting thoughts, and to find and define encompassing metaphors and symbols for them. This women's work is no mere folksy arts and crafts, but more about what has long been an investment in a research project to define a visual language beyond a way for female artists generally to make a statement, and in the contemporary art context to also use a statement, to make a statement about the cultural prejudices against what is considered and categorised in the decorative craft, not art discourse. Thank you for letting me say all that. I've got this, engine in me about this kind of thing. Transforming the medium through the message is no feminist cliche here, though. It is a timely form of social documentation and reaction. It is about activism. As quilts have often been used as the ground for activist sentiments since African-American artist Faith Ringgold's works in the 1980s, she quilted her stories so that she could be heard. And these ideas make serious points. The decorative, the inconsequential, the quilt, the utilitarian, the supposed domestic nurture object, transformed under conceptual weightier concerns to make more than very noisy billboards. In their unexpected combinations and juxtaposition, these painterly works also remember and commemorate people and remind the artist that she was once delighted by the American feminist artist Judy Chicago, The Dinner Party, and an installation artwork made between 1974 and 79 depicting place settings for 39 mythical and historical women. And why did she do that? She wanted to make sure that people were not forgotten and commemorated. And this is really what we're doing here tonight. What she particularly liked about the dinner party, Kate, was not just the way in which different and unexpected media and symbols were joined in order to commemorate a particular person or the historical event, but also the way the viewer is encouraged to study, think about and reflect on and find out about the person or the event, otherwise in danger of, importantly, becoming forgotten and uncelebrated. Interwoven in the DNA of these paintings is a personal journey, a family story at the heart that in part ended in tragedy. Thoughts collide and throw many questions into the air. In the artist's own words, and I like this, Kate, it seems the job of the artist is to create chaos out of order or vice versa. This immersive journey in paint is therefore a contemplative, reflexive process. And I think we could all say, Kate, that you've done a brilliant job in sorting that chaos. Context is everything, and something so close to the heart will forever be under revision. In this transference space, then, the artist travels between personal and political, where the layers of history, you can see the beautiful objects, memorabilia in the cases there that are very poignant memories for the artist, but also as we look at them, very interesting to see, and thank you for having those. So, where the layers of history, memory and science sit alongside childhood memorabilia, medieval imagery, text and symbol, a family, a traumascape with at times a shadowy undertow. At other turns, the exuberant use of vibrant, energetic colour asserts itself and reminds us of childhood and optimism and hope and things like that, those things. And that gives us a bit of a respite in between that weighty material. Looking, seeing and thinking about these images largely takes me personally to a sobering, reflective place, a site of grief. It should be acknowledged, history and circumstance have taken the artist to a place of considerable grief. Here is not simply a journey or battleground with the brush. It is an immersion into creative processes and figuring something out. The journeys we make as artists is a quest for ourselves. We humans are vulnerable. The questions go round and round in the processing, the ritual of making, to construct, to make meaning, in negotiating human drama and trauma, in part transforms, is transformative. It brings order out of chaos, just like Kate says. Art is about empowerment. The brush is the power. This is a broad brush statement, I must say. I'll say it again. The brush is the artist's power. The brush is mightier than the sword or the bomb, and one can hope. Most artists in their work are in search of beauty, the beauty of truth, the beauty of love, or the beauty of mystery. And most artists are working to capture the light, the illumination of it, or the absence of it. In this instance, the artist is attempting to capture atomic light, I believe, its lightness and darkness. As we consider the radical atomic flashes that lit the country during the 1950s and 60s, putting at risk the lives of family members, scientists, government officials, military and communities, the contribution these paintings make to record, expose, shed light, their transformative processes and their healing in remembrance bring community and community values 6 decades on into the spotlight. It is appropriate we look back, remember historically and in hindsight. And we thank you sincerely, Kate Downhill, for sharing these multifaceted explorations and realisations with us in this very thought-provoking exhibition and journey. Bravo for piecing together this monumental evolving story, stories the fabric of life. As viewers, we carry these stories away. And now we can officially open the show, launch it, and thank you so much for listening.
I'd just like to thank Meredith for that exposition, that was lovely, and a small gift. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you'll enjoy the exhibition very much this evening, but I just wanted to let you know that the exhibition will run at Macquarie University Art Gallery until the 27th of November, so do bring your friends. We're also running 2 events as part of the exhibition: Artist Floor Talk on the 23rd of October from 2 p.m. and Painting Workshop on the 14th of November from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So please check the Art Gallery website for full details to register. And I wanted to point out these works are for sale and inquiries can be made to the Art Gallery. So please enjoy yourselves. And I didn't mention before, in case you didn't know, the toilets are to the right at the outside, and if you need to exit the building, that way and at the end. So I hope that won't happen. Enjoy. Thank you.